Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here for another day of the SEA DPC Lower Division, and it is, of course, MLP Dota and John X5 joining you once again. John, welcome back, sir. A brand new day for us, the end of the week, in fact. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. This one should be a really important one for both sides. Galaxy Racer up against Cignal Ultra. Both teams well, not in the place they'd want to be. Galaxy Racer in the middle of the pack now. They are currently 2-2 in terms of series, 4-4 in terms of games. Cignal Ultra dead last in groups, 0-4. They need to find some wins. If they don't, I think that might put them out. I'm not sure if they can still climb on top of Team Mystery at this point. They've only got 2 series left afterwards. Same thing for GXR. If they want the chance at that upper div, they need to win every single series coming up. So it's going to be a big one for both sides, and they're going to have to bring their A game here.
I do agree, John. It's going to be, there is a bit at stake here for both teams, and we'll see which one can pull off the victory. Of course, Cignal Ultra, in terms of their standings right now, I mean, I know you've already mentioned it, but currently no wins. Not only in games, but in series as well. It's just no victories whatsoever for Cignal Ultra. Galaxy Racer, I'm sure, are going to be looking to be the favorites going into this matchup, just based off those scores, but see if they can change it up now. As the draft, as you can see, has started. GXR, they will go for the Tusk and the Snapfire opening, and Cignal Ultra, they will be able to secure the Centaur first pick, which is nice. They also go for a Keeper of the Light, so a bit of an interesting opening here from Cignal.
Yeah, it's not quite the offlane combo we tend to see, like Centaur and Keeper don't really synergize all too well. Like, you could maybe play around with Slow coming out. You don't really have great Chakra magic spam. I guess Hoof Stomp's nice. But your main nuke and double edge is, it doesn't need mana, it just burns through your HP. So we'll see whether or not they want that Kotl with the Centaur in that lane. Maybe they run it as a pause 5 here. For GXR, Tusk plus Snapfire, very stable way to start. You could look for a tri-lane start for First Blood. We know what Snapfire does. A lot of ways to kind of play it in lane as well for the Snap. You can go a little Shredder focus. The minus armor with Blightstone. You could still go for the Cookie or Scatterblast for nuke and control. So it's a bit more open for GXR in terms of laning. For Cignal, I mean, you've got the stable hero for Van and the Centaur. The Centaur has been highly popular in the offlane once more. Build up into Vanguard with the Defiance and Blink, what we tend to see. So you've got a way of saving yourself as well with Stampede on lower cooldown. It's going to be really nice to disengage, and it's going to be up a lot more often. That's something GXR will have to watch out for. They go immediately into the Storm, which is fair. I think when you see a Centaur, when you see a Keeper for Light, there's not too much control for a Storm. Going to be able to zip around and not care too much. Get the control off. You hit the Orchid timing. It's going to be really hard to play against that, as you don't really have a Dispel on hand yet. There's no option for an LC anymore. And the Kotl, again, Kotl 4 with something else on 5 like Abaddon could mean you lack control for Cignal Ultra. So it looks like a pretty darn good game for the Storm to be aggressive here.
That it does, John. Cignal Ultra, though, I'm sure they'll have plenty of chances to try and sort out the Storm pick. What do you want to choose, though? I mean, they've got 3 picks left. You do have a position 1 like Anti-Mage that is currently available if you want to go down that route, but, it does mean you're going to have to play with an Anti-Mage, which isn't very fun for the rest of the team. Cignal Ultra, still going to have a bit of a think about it, see what they do want. I suppose you also have the options for things like the PL, which can also be somewhat decent to the Storm, but I'd say not quite as good as, say, the AM pickup if you wanted to go down that route. I suppose you could just choose, like, mid laners instead to try and deal with the Storm, like maybe the Ember comes out here, be able to chain the Storm down and kind of deal with him that way. For now, they'll go for the Nyx Assassin.
Yeah. It's fair. You get to control the Storm up. The mana burns can scale really nice from Nyx. And Spike Carapace makes it harder for a Storm to fully commit. So you might want to see a BKB on this Storm this game. Down the line, 3rd, 4th item pickup. Just to be safe in the front lines. Once you have that, not too much for you. But there's going to be a really good moment there for Cignal Ultra to bully out the Storm. I like the Ember pick that you suggested. It gives you the Keeper of the Light and Ember combination. Sleight of Fist spam becomes a lot harder to play against, especially considering the Ember Spirit's power spikes are a lot earlier than Storm, just down to itemization. So could be a really good option there for James if you want to give him that hero. We'll see as it still develops. You don't have too much control for the Ember coming through from GXR. Tusk and Snap aren't instant stuns. So the Ember is going to be able to play around with that, and having an Ember in this case does give you a good way of jumping the Snapfire. You already have Nyx with Spike Carapace, so the Kisses are probably not going to be channeled for all too long, but having that backup can really help the cause there if you want for Cignal Ultra. And Ember plus Centaur, everyone's going to be running around. You have really good ways of following up on your Ember jumping in. So we'll see if Cignal Ultra opts for it. GXR didn't manage to ban it out. Of course, seeing the Nyx come out here, it looks like GXR is just thinking a bit harder as to what they can do about that. Maybe help out their Storm by having a more aggressive off lane in this case, or safe lane if they want to go that pick now.
Fair enough. Galaxy Racer. They'll go for the Visage.
Ooh.
Well. Now, this is a hero I've been thinking about a lot, John. I don't know if it's quite strong. Because the whole Solar Crest medallion build-up that we used to talk about a couple weeks ago, that's kind of been nerfed now. It's still pretty good, but it has been weakened. Is there something I don't know about this hero? Is it strong, John?
It's just down to Soul Assumption being very value for a team that wants to play aggressive early. And we have seen a couple of teams pick that up, right? When you fight for First Blood, you're just spamming that spell all the time. You get some great push from your familiars. In this case, Visage plus Snapfire sounds like a pretty nasty lane. Once you hit that level 6 spike in Visage, you play with the Lilith Shredder, immediate -6 armor. You melt right through them. So the physical damage output is going to be nice here.
What if they
Cignal Ultra...
What if they just tri-laned? You've got Tusk Snapfire. You talked about the Soul Assumption. It seems like a very strong tri-lane, does it not?
Yeah, it's really potent. Not just that, but the Grave Chill, once you get the level in that, plus Tag Team, they're going to be very slow to get out of that control, and just not going to be a very good time there. So GXR could definitely look for an early tri-lane to find First Blood and maybe just maintain it. So that would mean we're probably going to need a more self-sustaining hero for KYXY to close out. We'll see what options will be left here by Cignal Ultra. For Cignal Ultras, and they go with a Tiny. That is looking like our mid-Tiny up against a Storm Spirit. Still potential for a safe lane Tiny with, say, Ag Shard build-up. We'll see, but we still tend to see Tiny prioritized for mid. Does decently enough against a Storm. You've got really good wave clear. You can play with your tree grab. Once Storm hits level 3, maybe he goes 1-1-1. That's the point where you kind of have to be careful. Like, if he sees you commit your Avalanche Toss in the wave, he will kind of look for a play with the Overload, with a Remnants, and with a Vortex to nuke you down. And Tiny does not have a lot of armor early on. He has decent HP, but the Storm can rip right through it. So you have to be careful about that spacing once the level 3, level 4 spikes do come out there for the Storm.
No, I do agree with that, John. That is, it can be a very dangerous predicament for the Tiny. Let's see how it does pan out. The final bans are now coming in, and we do see the Luna and PL for Cignal Ultra. Galaxy Racer, they get rid of the Doom, they get rid of the Medusa. Cignal Ultra, they can run the POS 1 Tiny if they want. I have a feeling they're probably going to go for something a little bit different here in that POS 1 role and just allow the Tiny to play that mid lane instead. The question is what, though? Like, you still have options for something like the Anti-Mage, but again, it doesn't feel great as a hero right now, and I don't know if they have the draft for it either. Like, you've got a space-creating draft, but at the same time, if you're running like a mid-Tiny, he tends to want to farm a bit more. Let's find out. Cignal Ultra, 8 seconds left to make this pickup. It's a pretty hard pick to make, I think, into the draft that GXR's come up with. They're going to go for the Gyrocopter. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a stable core to have. You have some pretty good spikes early on. Like Flat Cannon's great, Homing Missile's good, Stun when you have someone to set up. Rocket Barrage is very obnoxious to play against. It's a very stable scaling core here as well, so they're going to be able to build up into Ags, Maelstrom, maybe going in SNY as well if you want the additional stat resist, but it has pretty smooth spikes you can play with, especially with a Tiny. So there's a really early power spike for Cignal Ultra. Let's say by level 10, they're going to be feeling really strong. That's when you have some of these initial items up as well. The key things for Cignal is getting good farm under Gyro, which shouldn't be too much of an issue as long as he doesn't jump too close to the Tusk. But the real big one is Tiny's blink timing. You really still need a quick blink on Tiny. If it is on mid, you're going to play around with that, start setting up for your team, buy space out for the Gyro, and GXR will have to kind of watch it. You need to keep track of that Tiny's blink and sort of avoid being isolated. If they group up around Tiny, it's not going to be as bad. In GXR, they go into the morph, counter for the gyro, morph into him, get flak. You're a lot better than gyrocopter there.
I agree with you there, John. I think Galaxy Racer. I mean, I realize I've got to ask you the hard question later on, sir. So I don't mean to spoil it for you, but I could probably very confidently say that GXR came out with a better draft here up against Cignal Ultra. Now, I do believe it could go either way. I think the main strength for Cignal Ultra here is they do have a very aggressive sort of lineup, and they do look like they could take 5v5s very early on, where, say, the Storm and the Morphling may need a bit more time than the tiny gyrocopter. But if GXR just get a good laning stage going for this Morph and Storm, I think you are going to be in trouble. And as well as that, with this Visage, can you kind of control it? Is it going to cause too much headache for the side of Cignal Ultra? In fact, Polison's playing it, John. So is that a POS 4 Visage and a POS 3 Tusk we're looking at?
Yeah, it's looking like it. And speaking of, Mike, Cignal Ultra, they gave Bing the Tiny, they give Van the Nyx, Jamesy the Mid Centaur, Eris is on the support gyrocopter. Yeah,
what's happening?
Support gyro for Eris.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have no idea what's happening, and everything we said during the draft is right out the window. So forget about that. But John, I've still got to ask you the hard question, sir. Got to put you under pressure here. Who came out with the better draft?
I'm still going to lean towards Galaxy Racer. I think Visage on a 4 isn't too bad. It's going to be really impactful with the Tusk lane. Just think about it. You still have Tusk Visage there, except the Tusk is a core. So he gets to farm up every single time you've got Chilling Touch and the Soul Assumption, a Grave Chill and Soul Assumption. You're just going to be able to run heroes down with the tag team. You will have to find a way to close the gap with the Tiny, but you do run the risk of maybe Avalanche Toss coming through, but again, early on, the cooldowns are pretty long, so you can punish. I just feel like GXR, it's going to be easier for them to meet their conditions. Cignal Ultra, there is a bit of a back and forth there. I can understand the gyro, not just in the sense of having those early spikes, but you also have, are we remaking?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's disconnected, John. I guess we probably are. Time to switch back to the cameras, I'd say, John. There we go. So we have no idea what's happening, but it looks like we are probably going to have a remake as something's gone wrong with the lobby. Bit unfortunate, but I guess, you could just all pick it now and try to get the same picks going for both teams. Till then, though, John, I suppose we could just have a casual conversation until the lobby is up. How you doing today, sir? Did you have your merienda before we started?
I had my lunch. Merienda's it's a bit early in the morning. I guess you could say merienda cena. No, that's late merienda, I think. No early merienda, but lunch came out, and we will have. We did have sinigang. Sinigang is like a nice little sour soup, sort of like tom yum. I feel like it's not a fair comparison because tom yum's a very different flavor profile.
Right.
So it's just sour. It's nice. It's savory. With pork, lots of vegetables on top. We have that with we had some leftover barbecue with that. So It just took me and my sister back to our youth. We used to have sinigang and Filipino barbecue. It's so good. Just something I really miss. Forget that we have to look for all picks. I was looking at the wrong lobby type. Oops.
Whoopsie.
And it looks like the lobby's back up. Let me just copy that password. Can't really say the password here. Give me 1 sec.
Don't say the password, John. That'd be a problem.
Yeah, we're in. So yeah, we're just gonna wait for the relaunch. Every single caster probably a bit confused. At the least I've dragged Lupon with us here. So the Wombergs combo guys are back in. Have to say, Mike, outside of lunch, I want to point out that in chat we did have Fearless show up.
Oh,
hello there, Fearless. Thanks for tuning in.
Hello, Fearless. Welcome to the stream, sir. Lee wants to watch some great SEA Dota today, John, and he knows we're leaving today. He knows we're done for the week after this. He wants to come tune in and see how the games go. Welcome, Fearless, and welcome to the rest of the viewers as well. Pleasure to have you all here on this. What day is it, John? I don't even remember. Is it Saturday?
It's Saturday. Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Pleasure to have you all here on this lovely Saturday. I don't remember the days anymore. It's been so busy. It's been just so busy. You just lose track. You don't know anymore. It's fine though. You don't need to know the day of the week when you've got Dota to cast, John.
True enough. It is important to note, of course, that tomorrow is Mother's Day. So great to have a day off. you're gonna have to greet your moms, say hello, spend some time with family. But
Oh,
it's
no.
fine. We've got the day off. I heard you. I heard you do something, Mike.
Yeah, my genuine reaction, John. I hope my mother's not watching. I may have forgotten that Mother's Day is tomorrow, but don't worry, sir. I can still make this work. I can find a present real fast. At least, at least I know I have the day off. I've got the day off. It's fine. I can go visit. It's all right.
Yeah. Good thing I reminded you then, I guess. Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's great.
Son. I'm a terrible son.
It happens. It happens. It's like the days fly by. We cast like 2 regions. It can get busy. It gets confusing. We're simple-minded people, Mike. You and I.
Yeah.
And we just watch Dota. We don't keep track of times. We don't keep track of schedules. We don't keep track of days. We just go in lobby, and we just do what we do. So, can get a bit blurred there. It looks like we are launching, so should just be straight into all pick, and we can again take a look at the beauty of that shakeup. Eris, Gyrocopter, Paulison, Visage.
I haven't switched over
yet, John. This is just spicy.
I've still got
spicy still.
I've still got our cameras on, by the way, John. Just
Yeah.
I figured people didn't really care for the hero picks being made again.
Yeah, fair enough.
Then again, they probably don't care to look at us either, John. So I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place right now as to what I should do. You know, the thing is as well, John, I don't know if you've seen my shirt today, but every time I wear this shirt, I always get asked if I'm from a particular country, and it's always, is MLP from Mumbai? Shout out to the Indians out there, by the way. Pleasure to have you guys here. But no, I'm not from India, but I mean, I'd love to go visit. I suppose it is a very kind of, is it an Indian pattern? I don't think so. It's just flowers.
Yeah, it's just florally. I don't consider it Indian not even like it's closer to like batik or like something in Southeast Asia with Indonesia and the Philippines, but not quite as well. It's just florally, I think. From a glance, I guess you could make that mistake, but yeah, it's pretty clean. It's pretty nice. As chat previously mentioned, something that your grandma would give you. Very sweet, very endearing, Mike.
Yeah,
Lovely.
people. I think people are getting a little bit too comfortable commenting on my my attire these days. Never visited India, by the way, John. Seems like a nice place to go and have a look.
Oh, absolutely. The food's amazing. Have some paneer, tikka masala, butter chicken, which is kind of Indian, but also kind of Western influence. All really good food.
Don't make me hungry, John. I haven't ate yet. 3-4-3. He's going to get some wards down. Should be a 2-for-2 bounty, I think. I mean, you've got 2 drafts that can fight very early on, but just based off the positioning from both teams, it doesn't seem like they're too interested in taking the fight. Perhaps that changes. There is still 36 seconds left till the the bounty runes do spawn, but it does seem like both teams are going to accept it. And yes, John.
I have to point this out. Abing's on the gyro, so it looks like Eris is actually on the Nyx. Maybe they did say Abing couldn't reconnect, or was it Eris couldn't reconnect? It looks like they had an issue there with picking heroes. So no shenanigans. It's a gyro cost 1, and that kind of takes away what we kind of took away last time as well.
Yeah.
With the fate of the universe.
2-for-2. Very even kind of trade to get this game started. And like I kind of brought up in the draft, John, they are going to run a tri lane at that top side for GXR. I don't even think they need to really rotate a support down after trying to go for first blood. I think this is a very strong kind of tri lane to run. And it's very old school as well, right? Like if you remember back maybe 7-8 years ago when Visage was actually still good, everyone used to run tri lanes. And if it was a Visage in the tri lane, you could almost guarantee you were going to win that lane.
Oh yeah, 100% really strong. You've got the Soul Assumption ready here on Paulson. 3-4-3 is going to get started. Oh.
Right over his head. Bing, he's going to be alright. He's just playing games with 3-4-3. He might... No, he's just going to TP out. Act like that never happened. Nobody saw that. GXR, they are going to give up on the tri lane in the end. They're just going to run the duo versus duo lane. KYXY, he's going to move up with the tag team. But Bing going to take a lot of damage from that Soul Assumption. In the end, he's going to be alright. He'll salve up. Grims will pass him one. And well, I suppose even without the tri lane, you get him with the tag team with KYXY, and the Soul Assumption damage is still going to be pretty darn high.
And you have to watch out for level 2. That's actually really big for Visage. You get that Grave Chill up, the move speed slow is going to be really annoying. With Tag Team on top, it's going to be hard to run out. So Abing's just got to play with his range advantage, just find those safe last hits, hit his own level 2, level 3 spikes where you can play around with Rocket Barrage and Chakra if you want to, and you can try nuking them down, but before that point, just focus on farm. It's looking pretty rough for Dejara so far. Abing has not found a single last hit. They're getting some good control out on GXR to just prevent that initial farm for the Gyro. Gives us a chance to take a peek at the other lanes. Down mid, you've got Alacrity on his Storm. He's up against Jamesy on that mid Tiny. And you're at that level 3 spike for both sides. So Alacrity doesn't opt for the Vortex. Instead, just focusing on the creep waves. Just wants to keep farming. He is using his range quite well. 15-1 up against
lane, John.
8-0.
Bing's taking a lot of damage again. He's going to be able to get himself out, but another salve's going to be there from Grims. So Grims, you can already see he's bought his 3rd salve of the game now. He just gave the 2nd one over to a Bing. And that's great pos 5 play, mind you. Like, Grims is doing a great job, and he understands what he needs to do in this lane. Just kind of be the heals for Bing, as now he's going to get dive shots. Perfect. KYXY. Landing him right on target. That'll be first blood going the way of GXR. Now Bing, he's going to have to wait for his next salve.
Yep, it's going to be a little bit longer. At the least now GXR is a bit unhealthy and are sort of out of mana and Paulson to keep that spam of the Soul Assumption up. So you're not going to be able to harass down Abing as much. The one thing here is that, yeah, Grims is keeping Abing alive, but his last hits are just not racking up. Abing's still stuck at 7-0. A paltry amount of farm, especially compared to our Morphling right now at 16-3 on the opposite end. So you need to maybe start considering some stacks here for Grims. Outside of just healing up his Jar, he's going to need to ensure some flash farm comes out for that hero. Looks like they're not in position to really play with Rocket Barrage as well. You do have Flak up in Abing, which is great to just find those last hits, but that does mean that you're not getting too much value with the Chakra there. Still gives us a chance to keep the bot. And
yeah, they're going right now. They're going for the 3-4-3. Cookie is going to be there in time. Mizu, can he get the job done? Oh, actually 3-4-3. He turned back around. That's an interesting play to make from 3-4-3. I mean, he may have just assumed he was already dead. In the end, Mizu being able to get the kill anyway is going to make it more worthwhile for the side of GXR. Yeah, I guess you still have to be happy if you're Galaxy Racer. 3-4-3, he gets a reset.
Yep, it's not too bad. Mizu gets solo EXP as well from getting the kill on Van. So I think that kind of works really well for the Morphling. It's just really hard to get the kill till the stun. Nah.
I take it back as well, John. It looks like the reason he wanted to die there is to be able to TP mid, fill up the bottle, and try to contest the water runes, which he almost did. Unfortunately for him, Jamesy did manage to stun up Alacrity, but had he not done that, he would have they would have gotten both water runes as well as the full bottle from the storm before then.
Yeah, would have been really hard for Jamesy to hold that lane. He's still playing at the deficit compared to Alacrity. 39-2 in the Storm, 24-0 on Tiny, so not looking as good in terms of CS. And again, it's just down to the fact that Alacrity's playing with his range advantage really well, just bullying out the melee core. He's got his level 6 up here as well, so you could look to maybe make a play if Jamesy oversteps. You're going to have to watch that spacing once more on the Tiny, as if you get too close, the overload spam is going to be up now.
Yep. You'll see Grims and the Coddle as well, just getting those stacks up already for the Gyrocopter. I think one thing we have to really look out for is if GXR can invade this jungle and kind of realize that the stacks are going to be there. And it should be fairly obvious, considering there is a Gyro in the game. For now, Alacrity is going to move up towards the top lane, and looks like Grims is probably going to die again. Very easy kill there for Alacrity. And he is still top of the CS board, even with that rotation. He can just go back into the mid lane with a kill under his belt and be very happy with the way his game's going so far.
It's really working out nicely. We're not seeing the rotations down mid from Cignal supports. Eris is finally here, but actually already found a kill. He's already safe. They could camp for the power runes, but you will also get a rotation out from Paulson, so it's not like it's going to go uncontested here, and that bounty as well.
They're going right now. Top lane, or excuse me, top river. Grims can't deny it in time. It's an arcane rune for now for Alacrity, and we know how much the Storm loves those. Alacrity's already popped it. He might go for a kill attempt. TP out towards the bot lane. Looks like Van's going to be targeted here, and he has no help around. They're just going to dive right in. The Stampede is there, but Alacrity, can he keep chasing? Not quite. The Stampede does work out. Alacrity was running very low on mana, and well, the Arcane Rune, while it was a nice attempt, will not really lead to a kill. Meanwhile,
Paulson?
top side, Paulson has been caught. He does have the Gravekeepers, so he is quite tanky. And that's the thing when you're tiny, right? The Avalanche Toss combo, it's not going to kill the Visage in one combo.
No, you're going to eat through a couple of those cloaks first because of that damage instancing on the Tiny. Avalanche is a separate instance of damage each with each wave of rocks. So it's got an interval. You're not going to instantly just dig through, get the damage off. A bit annoying for finding that kill. And even with the movement coming out here from GXR, you're still getting really good results in your lanes. KYXY still above Bing in terms of farm. The Gyrocopter's now playing the jungle. They are rotating around though.
Jeez, look at the damage output from this Morphling. Mizu, he'll keep moving forward. Paulson, so that's going to be enough. They want a Big to try and take these stacks, and while Grims is here, you can definitely help him out with the Illuminate. When you're up against a draft like this on GXR, you don't want to wait too long to take the stacks. Because they do have a Storm who would be more than happy to take them away from the side of Cignal Ultron. So I do like the fact that they've gone back for those. Thing is, you kind of pointed this out already, John, but in terms of CS, there was a pretty big struggle for a Bing. And even with these stacks being taken, while it's helping him catch up, it's not going to be quite enough to even be at the top. In fact, he's currently 6th place.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot more farm to come through, which means that the side of Cignal needs to keep stalling out the game, which is super awkward, although stands speed.
Oh, they've got the bot lane. Van trying to Stampede away. This time Alacrity will be able to help secure a kill, and 3-4-3 the one to take it on the Snapfire. That's a 4-1 already for Galaxy Racer, and again, with this draft from Galaxy Racer, if they get a good start, it's going to be very hard to come back for Cignal Ultra.
Yeah, and it's just so tricky because they close out with the Gyro, but the Morphling, again, he's going to enjoy turning into the Gyrocopter to get his own flak. You can see so much activity on the map as well. Paulson's pretty far in to get D-wards, but Jamesy? Yeah,
Jamesy's there with the Avalanche Toss, and being able to get through some of that Gravekeeper's Cloak is going to allow Jamesy to just burst down the Visage. A bit of good news there to get that +4 down, and I suppose the one saving grace right now for Cignal Ultra is the fact that Jamesy is top of the net worth board, and maybe he could just set a pace that the other side of GXR can't keep up with.
Van?
Uh-oh. Van still alone, doesn't have Stampede this time, and it won't matter anyway. KYXY with the Walrus Punch and the Orb of Corrosion up does quite a bit of damage.
Oh yeah, you can't underestimate the output of a core Tusk. He gets priority, he's going to be able to maybe rush the Blink, maybe opt for, say, a Desolator and just absolutely melt some heroes. It can be quite tricky for the side of Cignal to live through that. They are kind of lined up, they know the Morphling's left alone up top. So Mizu's got to be a bit cautious, but some TPs are coming in to help back him up now.
Mizu already strength morphing just in case. He'll go after that T1. Agimorph again. He's going to be careful, but now your snowball's in. KYXY wants to start the fight, but he kind of just punched himself. Despite Carapace was there in time from Eris, and now KYXY will be chased down and eventually taken out. Very unfortunate timing there for GXR as they went for the gank, as Cignal was doing the exact same thing. Now they do give a +3 kill away.
Oh. Paulson?
In
No,
trouble.
he's running away.
Yes, he is. Tree Toss is going to be enough. With the DD rune, it's a lot of damage out with that Tree Toss, and they get him eventually.
Yeah, a little bit close. Paulson did turn around to cast his spell, so got punished for that.
Bot lane.
Bot lane?
Bing has been caught. He is gone. Cookie out as well. Mid-Stampede. Van, he's going to try and run, but it's probably... Oh, they leave him.
Yeah, I think that's fine. He's super tanky. There's a TP point here for Cignal. They drag Eris down. If they stayed around, the Knicks could get the stun on the Storm. You know, get all sorts of control off. So kind of nice for GXR that they get discipline, pull back, find a kill, and just go back to farming. Although Eris is still keeping track here.
Well, they were correct in the end, I guess. The rotations were out from Cignal Ultra, and Eris now is going to try and punish Mizu. Mizu is pretty healthy though, 1.7k HP on the Morph. He seems to understand something is awry here, and he does eventually end up just backing off to the triangle. So great game sense there from Galaxy Racer, and well, I say game sense, it may have been spotted by this Observer Ward in the bot lane, but I do believe the Nyx Assassin was already in that Vendetta.
Yeah, I think they just knew. They knew they were going to be overcommitting. They know that Cignal wants to jump in and punish. The blink is already there on Jamesy, so he's in a position where he can just jump in, try to nuke down the stragglers one by one, and that's exactly what you don't want for GXR. So Cignal, they're just going to be back and trying to get farm up for Abing. He's managed to overtake in that word, which is great news for the Gyro. They just need to be able to maintain that lead for a bit longer. Once the items start flowing in, you're going to feel a lot better on the Gyros. You will sort of outfarm the Morphling. Like, Mizu is just playing up top. He can't clear out waves as fast. The mid lane's now under pressure from Cignal while the top's being shoved. And that's a much bigger target to take.
Fair enough. Mid lane, zip in, Alacrity, he's got the Centaur again, and with the shards out, it's going to be a nice easy kill as Eris now shows up. Was underneath Sentry Vision for a second, but they weren't able to hold him down, and well, in the end, I suppose with their Centaur dying, you probably don't want to initiate right now. The Cignal, as long as Bing is farming that triangle, you're probably going to be pretty happy. Mind you, John, the Morphling is keeping up quite nicely. Mizu, even without that kind of farming mechanism, is still able to kind of keep up with the pace. As mid lane now, Jamesy's gone. That's the mid tiny. Van's TP'd in, but I don't see what they can get out of this. It's too late.
And they found a punishment on 343, so at least they kill off the snap, but without the tiny round, that's a lot of their burst damage gone. Van can still play with the tank through the tower, deal with retaliate for tower push, but they're coming back in.
Yeah, right back in. A nice shards out from KYXY into a big snowball on a Bing. He's in big trouble. Mizu gonna turn around. Alacrity, he does die, but he got the gyrocopter first, and now the team wipe, it looks like, is about to begin as GXR will just keep going, but no, a nice avalanche toss. Jamesy will be able to turn it back around. And so in the end, it was a pretty even trade-up, but you'd have to agree that Cignal may have just come out on top.
Yeah, it's a bit better for Cignal. We saw Alacrity just jump a bit too close to the gyrocopter. He wasn't maintaining his range there at all, so he got nuked down while trying to find that kill. And he did die before the gyrocopter did, so you got a little bit more EXP on Cignal's end. The big kill coming out from our Tiny on Morphling is also really nice for Jamesy. That means his Echo Saber is going to be up a little bit faster. And GXR just get much more aggressive than they needed to, diving a bit too deep. They just needed to maintain some spacing there. Mizu just, again, split off from the fight, kind of playing on the opposite end from the river compared to his team, was just too far forward to clean up. So Cignal, they're not out of it yet. They do have spikes coming in. Their net worth is fairly even, less than 1k of lead for GXR. For the side of GXR, they're going to need some BKBs fast. Alacrity's already saving up for his. And once you have that BKB on the Storm, there is nothing that can control him. Your nuke damage is not going to be there. You're going to have to rely on physical coming out from your Gyro and to a certain extent from your Tiny. But you really just will have no way to lock in that really slippery Storm, and that could be a massive issue once Alacrity farms that up.
That certainly could be. So both teams, again, just going to be quite happy to keep farming, but I suppose you already brought this up, but a Bing is going to be able to farm much more efficiently on that Gyro and see if GXR kind of realize this and want to try and make a play. But now they are just seemingly more than happy to sit back and just farm up themselves. KYXY, of course, keeping that mid lane defended, but now they might make the jump in. Jamesy, he's got the blink up. Be very careful here if you're KYXY. There's a 5-man group up in that mid lane. Just trying to protect the siege creep. That's what Van will do. He'll protect it. They'll get the T1 tower. KYXY, he has no way to take it out. He'll just have to back out. It's a pretty nice little win there for Cignal.
Yep, they're just playing with the tankiness on Van. I mean, he's got the Vanguard and Hood of Defiance. He's not getting hurt at all. But the towers, well, he's tanking it for his team, so easy one to take. GXR are not in a position to really fight back. They're just trying to build up that farm, as we talked about. Mizu looks like he's just trying to rush that Scotty now does have the Yasha and also has the Sanj coming in. So a little bit more set of stats to play with on a Morphling. The status resist, of course, always nice for these cores, which is why the SNY is still a really popular pickup. One of the only sources of that stat resist. And the rest of GX are just trying to get as much farm as possible. They are, again, losing out the farm more compared to Abing. As we have continuously pointed out, the Ags is up for a Gyro. The BKB is going to be up next, so it's the same kind of timing that we were talking about in the Storm. Once that BKB is up for Abing with the Ags, he's just going to stand forward, keep getting the hits. Nothing to pierce spell immunity here from GXR, and that could be an issue for them as well.
Ban, again, mid lane, needs to be a little bit cautious here. KYXY going to have his smoke broken and Alacrity is right in, but Eris is around with an impale, but he completely whiffs it. I think he only hit one. Eris still going to get stunned up himself now by the Morph, but they are going to try and fight this one out. Mizu, he's into the backside. Ban's going to try and chase him, but misses the hoof stomp. Meanwhile, Polison, he'll be the first one to drop on the Visage. Now KYXY in danger. Cookie, not going to save him either. As Abing continues to chase him down, but the fight will continue. James, he finds another target in the form of 343. And now Cignal Ultra. It didn't look like a great start to the team fight, but great counter initiation there. Eventually out from Cignal, and GXR seems like they just can't really afford to fight back yet.
Yeah, they just couldn't go into that big team fight. There's a lot more AoE damage coming out from Cignal. They need these BKBs to be up, especially on Alacrity. The only reason Alacrity didn't die was Mizu turned into the Nyx as the Tiny blinked in. He managed to pop the Spike Carapace, so he couldn't get the follow-up right-click to kill off Alacrity, and that's the only reason why the gold swing wasn't as big for Cignal. They've got 2k lead, big enough to be noticeable at 18 minutes in, but not quite big enough to close it out just yet. And the side of GXR just need to be more cautious in their approach. They need to be able to use all their spells. They need the Kiss to be flying out from 343 at a safe distance to get that damage output. Otherwise, these tight, confined spots are easier for Cignal to control up, and it's going to get even tougher. You've got a blink on Eris flying out now, so your Nyx is just going to be able to set up, jump right in the middle of these fights, line up for a big Impale, line up for a really good Spike Carapace, and that just puts even more risk to GXR, as, again, the Nyx just does so much good work against the Storm, against the Morphling, even the Snap. Heck, everyone does not enjoy that spell. You have to really be cautious.
Alacrity, avalanche toss in. Jamesy, he's got him, but the zip away should be enough. TP out, he'll make it. Very close call there for Alacrity on the Storm, but Jamesy just not quite having enough damage, and it's like if he had a +1, they probably almost definitely would have had enough, but fortunately it just wasn't the case.
Yeah, just maybe a bit hasty. They didn't manage to channel the Illuminate properly or let it go at the right time, so there was enough of a window there for Alacrity to zip away. Very quick fingers on Alacrity, and that's just a really good escape from him, as if he dies, it stalls out the BKB. So you really don't want to take hits until the BKB is up, and then you can start looking aggressive.
Has his smoke broken? That's a very interesting smoke to make. You don't have Vendetta, but you still move in to the triangle like that, and feels like if they went with Vendetta, Mizu would have been caught, as there was no detection around there. No real sentries there from the Radiant. Cignal maybe just getting a little bit too excited. Going to that Radiant triangle early. Nevertheless, they're still going to be able to take down this tier 2 tower, unless GXR want to try and go for a fight. They're thinking about it. It is a very hard team fight to take, though, it looks like, as your tier 2's already almost gone. They do glyph it up. That, he's going to be targeted. They'll get one. But a massive impale out from Eris now. And the call down from Abing with the BKB out. Do they have enough damage? Snapfire kisses in. Abing now with the BKB just going to TP away. And Jamesy going to get zipped on by Alacrity. And that should be your Tiny gone. What a strange turn of events.
Yeah, it's a bit of a back and forth one. You can see Mizu just making great use of morphing into the Nyx to break up these fights, but that means you don't have the damage output that you would have with, say, the gyro form. So it's a bit of a trade-off. The one tricky thing for GXR is that in these fights, Paulson has to really micro his familiars quite well, because the gyrocopter rips right through them. The Roshan is still melting, but they're quite close to dropping.
Yep. Oh. Impale out. They wanted to try and steal that Aegis, but they will not be able to. Eris He gave it a crack. But there you go. Aegis up now on Mizu. Still a less than 1k net worth lead for Cignal Ultra, so a very close game between these two. I suppose you are getting to the point now, if you're a Bing, where you do need that Eye of Skadi up to really deal with Mizu throughout the team fights. Now that should be the next kind of big power spike for Cignal, is when that Eye of Skadi is up for a Bing. Though it does seem like it might be a while away.
Yeah, it's still about all parts away. I mean, even that first Ultimate Orb is 300 gold off, so it's going to be some time. Now, the Gyro will be able to flash farm that quite fast. They just need to buy some space out. If they don't force any fights, Abing can just sit back in jungle. You will hit that spike nicely. You have to really be fast, though. Like, Mizu is about 1k gold behind, but his itemization is lining up, so it's still going to be major. Skadi's being built up faster on the Morphling. So you're going to have that interesting back and forth where, again, as long as Mizu keeps gold or item parity with a Gyro, if he does opt to morph into the Gyrocopter, it will feel scarier to have flak from the Morphling's form. Like, it's just so much stronger, and you have to find a way to control him.
Olsen,
defensive also.
Trying to play the bait. He is already dead, however. KYXY, he tried to jump into turn, but there's too many heroes around. Van, he'll go for the Stampede in. KYXY, he has been left behind. He'll try to snowball. Alacrity going to move back in now with the BKB charge back onto Van, but they don't have the damage output. Instead, they'll try onto the Tiny with the Avalanche Toss. Mizu will be able to get one, but now Van is right back in with the Hoof Stomp. But do you have the damage for that big Morphling? It doesn't look like it. Mizu's going to back. Eris, a great impale out from the Nyx Assassin, but again, Mizu is still going to be able to walk out. They do get 3-4-3 instead. Back into Eris now with the Avalanche, but the Spike Carapace is there. Mizu, another impale. Eris has got the big one. Van with the follow-up stun. Alacrity going to try and save the day. Mizu is going to be fine for now. As Paulson, he'll come back in onto Van with the Soul Assumption. But they won't find another kill. Cignal Ultra able to win out the team fight, and that'll be enough. They'll back off.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to bait out with Paulson. I'm not sure if they were even really fully baiting, as it felt like they weren't quite ready. The response was a bit slow. We saw KYXY wanted to play with a blink and snowball save. Didn't really get there in time, so Cignal just getting a better jump in there.
Mizu needs to be very careful here. It's like Van or Eris, they weren't around to really set up there for the Gyro to move his way in. GXR, meanwhile, going to go back into the Radiant jungle now and see what they can find. Alacrity, oh, he's been impaled up. This could be big as they get the Storm kill. Alacrity already gone onto Paulson now. They want to chase him down, but now KYXY back in with the Walrus Punch, and there's Mizu onto the Gyrocopter. The call down is there. A Bing actually walking away from all this. They can't kill the Gyro. Van now back in with Jamesy onto 3-4-3. Jamesy may have gone a bit too far, however, and has been left behind. The mid-Tiny going to die again. So it is going to be a 1-for-1 trade on those position 2s. On the brighter side, a Bing does survive on the Gyro. I suppose Cignal would have probably been better off just kind of taking the Storm kill and just backing out.
Yep, Jamesy just a bit too far forward. A bit of a missed opportunity there for GXR. Mizu did not manage to waveform forward to try and chase down the Gyro. It felt like they were really scattered in target priority there. They were trying to get everyone low. The Gyrocopter just moves away a bit and suddenly they're focusing on someone else. GXR might need to reel that in a bit, start to focus on the same alpha target at the same time, get the alpha strike in. Side of Cignal right now, they're still getting that really smooth farm up. The Scotty is up in the Morphling, but Abing's not too far off. He's still 2k ahead of the Morphling on paper. So again, you're getting a little bit more value there on the Gyrocopter. And the side of GXR, they're going to need defensive items now. Mizu is saving up for his BKB next, the Storm BKB. As long as you catch him out first, he's still at risk. So you really have to be very conscious about where you're at for Alacrity. As there is a Nyx, he was farming the jungle without sentries nearby. That's just asking for trouble. It's a Storm.
Smoke up. GXR. They'll invade the Dire triangle. 3-4-3 with a bit of a cheeky sentry ward of the Ancient Camp. I do have a bit of a feeling it's a bit too late for that. Aegis does expire. Mizu gonna have his smoke broken. Eris is there with the Vendetta. They want that mid-tier 1 tower, but now the Stampede's out. Enter the hoof stomp. Van, he found 2 already. The snowball is there. They might be able to turn now. Van's in trouble on the center again. He might die, and does alacrity. Able to take him out. Mortimus is in. A Bing still moving forward. I'm not 100% sure about this. I suppose he still does have the BKB up. Jamesy gets a kill onto 3-4-3, but it's not really worth his own life. And now the shards out, locking them all in. Mizu just going to have his way with the gyrocopter and the tiny. This is not great news, Cignal. They need to back out ASAP. A Bing, a nice impale out from Eris, but it's not going to be enough. The gyrocopter's still in massive trouble as KYXY is back in with the tag team, and they'll find another. A Bing goes down. Grim still trying to run, but KYXY is still trying to just chase him down, the Keeper of the Light. It was a really nice chance out from KYXY to just lock them in. The Cignal obviously is going to be very careful with the way you initiate and where you take the team fights.
Yeah, they kind of tried to jump in. This time around, KYXY, not just with the shorts, but before that, he got a really good snowball save. And that just stalled out long enough that Van was stuck in the middle, managed to get that big centaur kill,
Eris.
and they clean up from there.
By Mizu. Oh, he didn't right-click him.
Dire's bottom tower is
Oh, he missed out on a kill. He didn't connect the right-click with the Vendetta strike. Top side, they found Polison. He might just run, though. And he does.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity twice over now. He still can't fully burst a fairly healthy Visage. Just with a tiny, it's just not enough anymore. You're gonna need right clicks to fly in. Jamesy does have the Echo Saber, but once you see the Grave Chill, Paulson runs really fast. Like, you can't underestimate that speed on a Visage. With a Grave Chill up, he gets 35% more move speed from you. It's really quick. So the side of Cignal would have really liked those kills, but they're gonna have to settle with nothing for now. Keep building up. Abing is already at the BKB mark. It's down to 6 seconds before he's trying to rush his Daedalus next, so he's trying to solve that damage issue on the Gyro. He wants to hit a lot harder. He's not gonna have self-sustain, so nothing like the Satanic. I think that's fine, because it does feel like they might be missing some damage output, especially once their tiny sort of isolated out. So just the more physical it's going to be great. It is going to take some time to build up into that. That should maybe line up with the next Roche timer, at least once you get the Crystallis. So you could look for that coming true with just that small steroid up on yourself. And Roche, we will see when it respawns soon. It's a quick Roche, so never mind that. It's just a 13-second respawn. This is something GXR should look to abuse. Cignal does have a good ward by the river. But of course, that is going to be Aegis Cheese and the Ag's Shard. A major spike for any team that finds it first.
Absolutely. Eris again looking to set up in that mid lane. He'll find 3-4-3. Won't bother going for it, though. Now with BKB up on Mizu, going to make him feel a lot more confident in these team fights. And Cignal, they are kind of grouped in that mid lane, but it seems like they're kind of... They don't really have a game plan right now. He doesn't have any camps to farm. So they just de-watered those that triangle. Top lane, Eris, Spike Carapace. It's gonna be enough for Mizu not to make the jump in. Jamesy, down 3-4-3. Avalanche out a little bit late there. 3-4-3. He's going to survive the combo. And now the Visage Familiars stunning them up. They found the Nyx Assassin. That'll be Eris gone. Call down. It's going to be up from a Bing onto the Visage. But I don't think the side of GXR really care about him. A Bing now going to have to try and find out Mizu. There's your shards out again. KYXY locking in a Bing. He just didn't learn his lesson. Van now has been caught trying to kill Polison, but he just can't get the damage out.
Hello, this is Gabe Newell. Thanks for
You can't play in those tight areas when you're up against a Tusk. You can't do that. Zip in, Jamesy. He's been caught out now. KYXY, Walrus punches him up. Mizu's in, gets a triple kill on the Morphling. And Cignal Ultra, it was a decent first half to the game, but it's looking very rough for them now.
Yeah, it really is. They're just forcing these fights where they shouldn't be. They're not respecting the chain stunts out from the Familiars. If the Gyrocopter's not around, then the Familiars aren't going to get nuked down by the Flat Camp. They're just going to live. You're going to get full utility with it on the Visage. The Visage is not the target to jump for first. Even the Snapfire with the Glimmer Cape just negates so much of that magic damage from the Tiny Spurs that, again, you have to really consider your target priorities here. For Cignal, Tier 3 falls mid. They will be able to respawn in time to prevent the side of GXR from going for more, but they could easily swing around for that Roshan next. Just get the free Ag Shard, get the Aegis Cheese. It's going to make it so much harder for Cignal to fight in. They do have Stampede up. They've got the call down. They could maybe try to force that fight, but it's another tight spot that you really don't want to be caught inside at all.
No, absolutely not, John. And Olsen now, he has a full pipe up. It's going to make the whole side of GXR quite a bit tankier. At least against the Tiny and Coddle. There's your Roshan gone now. Aegis. Where is the Aegis? Goes the way of Mizu. Cheese is going to be there onto our Storm, and Alacrity, he is currently holding the Shards upgrade, but it looks... No, he is going to use it. So a bit of raving going on here for GXR now.
That sounds pretty busted with Morphling if he turns into Gyrocopter.
Oh.
And he flicks on Flak. That does sound really ridiculous if it does happen there.
So hold on. if he turns into Gyrocopter and gets Flak Cannon, you're telling me the Overload will work on every attack? Is that what you're saying to me, John?
I believe so. I feel like it should, but you never know with the interaction. Still on paper, that should be what happens. So
Let's see. I really hope that is the case, because that would be hilarious to watch. Satanic now up on Mizu as well, John. Even with the Eye of Skarding and the Gyrocopter, this could be a big timing now as Mizu. He's going to go right in onto a Bing. There's your Flak Cannon. Jump in, Avalanche Toss, Impale, all out. Mizu, look at the flaks just flying out onto everyone from the side of Cignal Ultra. They cannot sustain themselves. It is just way too much damage as Mizu is back in now onto Jamesy underneath the T4 towers. They are just diving them all the way. There is no threat here from the side of Cignal Ultra. They will find the fourth one.
Kills, but less than 4 kills.
The game's over. Will they call it?
They're holding on. Respawns are half a minute, but...
It's a full team wipe. And of course, GXR, they realize they could just go straight for the T4 towers, and there's your GG call being made now, Cignal. They have seen enough. And we talked about this during the draft phase, John. You couldn't really afford to fall behind with this draft if you were Cignal Ultra. You're versing Storm, you're versing Morphling. Hell, even the Visage is going to be a bit of a problem later on. And as you can see, once you pass that 15-20 minute mark, Cignal Ultra, they just kind of lost the momentum.
Yeah, I think they had the right mindset in their draft. You get why you picked Gyro against the Visage. You just pierced through the familiars, but it ended up being a support Visage, and Mizu caught that last pick Morphling. So they were baited in to counter the Visage and just give the Morphling out, which ended up being a huge boon against the Gyro. Cignal Ultra needed to play with the spikes coming out. Jamesy's blink was fast, rather quick enough to play around with, but they couldn't manage to use that space in a big way. It looked a bit awkward for GXR when they lost a couple of fights, but the network gap was always within 1 to 2k gold. So considering they were playing against a Gyrocopter, that meant there was no major item spikes on Abing over the side of GXR, and that's never what you want to see. You want to leverage your farming potential to be on top of all the other cores, and never quite happened there for Abing. So we'll see if they correct those issues going to game 2, but GXR, they held out. They managed to bounce back in. I want to point out here, Mike, before we go, yes. Alacrity got the shards. He never popped that overload, so we never got to see it with the Gyrocopter. It just
I was
wasn't there.
wondering.
It wasn't on cooldown.
I was wondering,
Never pressed
John.
it.
I was like, oh, okay, it doesn't work. The Flak Cannon's going. I don't see any overload charges on Mizu. it must not work, but Alacrity never popped it. So we'll never know now, John. Because we don't do testing. God forbid, we can't do that. Anyway, we'll move on to the next draft very soon, ladies and gentlemen. We will be going to a short break, but right after that short break, we'll be back with Game 2 of Galaxy Racer against Cignal Ultra. See you then. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are officially here for game number 2 between the side of Cignal Ultra and Galaxy Racer Esports, and it is MLP Dota. And the very handsome John X5. I had to think about it for a second, John. I was looking for the right word, but you know, I will say you do look very handsome today, sir.
Thank you. You know, we've got a pretty handsome matchup as well here. Cignal Ultra up against Galaxy Racer. Of course,
That's
I've got
alright.
a very handsome co-caster here as well.
Well,
Mr. Newly Christianed here. We've got a new copy pastor, Mr. Modi Lakshmi Patel, MLP. We found it out, Mike. We know what it means now. You can't hide it anymore. You keep claiming you're Australian. You know, I don't know. They got it. They got the MLP. They found out, Mike. You can't hide anymore.
it's all over for me. It's done. There it is. Everyone knows my real name now, and what can you do, John? I've got to embrace my culture. That's what I've got to do. Lovely culture, by the way.
Yeah.
Cignal Ultra versus Galaxy Racer, John. And by the way, thank you for complimenting me for once. It's very good to see. You never say anything about your co-caster. We do have a draft on the way, John. And I want to ask you straight off the bat, what do you think Cignal need to change to try and force us to a game 3?
If you'll allow me, Mike, I'm gonna say this one Filipino so chat will be satisfied. May nagsabi ng Cignal Ultra medyo bano daw ang laro. Ayusin naman natin nila kasi yung farm ni Abing naglabas naman pero di ganyan kataas yung farm niya. Yung GXR nag-apply ng pressure, yung gyro niya siging pasok sa mga laban. So kailangan lang ng Cignal Ultra ayusin yung tempo nila. Bigyan lang ng space si Abing, pa-farm siya. Magpasok na siya kung may item na. Yung itemization din ata niya, medyo off eh. Nag-ag siya, nag-scuddy, hindi siya nag-satanic. May ag siya, kailangan may satanic para paglabas ng laban, mabuhay pa siya. He needs to get that done. I just rambled about Abing's build there a bit. He went for the scuddy after the ags, not the satanic. When the Gyrocopter's big strength is that if you have ag satanic, you will not die. You just stand in the middle, pop satanic. Even if you're stunned up, your little gunner is flicking out damage. That's going to heal you up. So you missed some spikes there in itemization. You do see the draft on hand, though. I think you're going to like Cignal Ultra's draft. Dazzle Axe. They've got the way to rip through Shallow Grave, but it's on their side. You've got the Axe to play with. You've got Call, plus I guess the heal coming through from the Axe could be big. They've got some timings to play with. GXR, though, love the response. Snapfire Tusk. So they don't have a wave to immediately deal with Shallow Grave, but they've got a way to save from the Call. As long as the Tusk is allowed to gap close, get the snowball, then the Call's not going to do much. It's a really good way to kind of prevent the Axe from just taking control in the middle of these fights.
Yeah, absolutely. John, I don't mean to put you on the under the heat, but I think you've got to work on your pronunciation. In Tagalog, it's bit off. You know, I don't even know why you bothered explaining in English afterwards. Obviously, I understood every word you were saying, but you've really got to kind of get that pronunciation right. So you're very off there. And we'll practice afterwards. I'll give you a few lessons in Tagalog, and hopefully you'll improve very quick. I think you'll be a good student, John. Cignal Ultra versus Galaxy Racer. We've got to wait for the next band stage, so I suppose it is a very similar opening here from Galaxy Racer, right? Like, they basically went for the exact same opening in the Snapfire Tusk. Cignal Ultra, of course, changing things up with the Dazzle Axe. Now, it does feel like you've kind of chosen the Axe to not have your Dazzle be useless, but this opening from Cignal, John, what does it do? It's very left field, isn't it?
It is. I think it might be a bit greedy as well. We tend to see Dazzle as more of a core, right? In the off lane, sometimes mid, you prioritize your ag shard timing there. You build up, try to hit your level 18, play with your lower cooldowns. On the support, it's going to be harder to hit those level spikes. It's going to be harder to hit those item spikes. So I'm curious to see what they do with the Dazzle, and if it does manage to make that impact. It is still annoying in lane. Like, Poison Touch is still going to hold you back a really long time there. It's going to be really annoying. You don't have a Dispel on hand here from GXR on their supports. Nothing like an Abaddon on hand. So the Dazzle will be constantly annoying you. They've got room for a sort of Dispel pick down line, though. Legion Commander could be big. It's really nice if you want to lane the LC against Axe as well. Just purge off the Battle of Hunger and purge off Poison Touch. That's going to be one way to kind of go back and forth. We'll see what they do opt to do. Cignal Ultra with the ban outs as well. They take out the Medusa and the Timber Sausage, just not allowing a way of ripping through the axe with the Timb and not allowing the Medusa, who is really annoying with Shard and Aghanim's build up, to just stand in the front and, you know, stone everyone up. Never great for anyone playing against Medusa. Still, again, have to take care for those last picks. And prioritizing axe, it's so weird because now you have to kind of work around your draft to build off of the blink call combo. You want stuff that can help you get those pickoffs in that 4-second window there. And the side of GXR now are kind of aware that they can't go for stuff like the PA. They can't go for those burst kind of physical cores that want to jump in, because the act can punish. They've got enough leeway here to just look for ranged cores, perhaps. Something like the Luna is still available. The Drow, we've seen a lot of as well, could really work out here. So I'm not sure if you're going to get full value there for Cignal Ultra.
Let's find out. 7 seconds left of reserve time here, John, for Cignal Ultra. They'll go into the Lena pickup. Again, another left field kind of pick here. Very different to what we've kind of been seeing. Like, we haven't seen Dazzle or Lena at all, really, throughout the new patch. Axe, yes, we've seen a bit of Axe. We've seen a lot of Axe, in fact, but still a very different sort of draft, and I'm not sure what Cignal's up to yet. I can't say I like it either, John. It does seem very weird. Galaxy Racer, a bit more standard. They'll go into the Ember.
Yeah, you don't have hold for December. Like, you showed the Lena, you showed the Dazzle, probably a core Lena, still a support Dazzle, so we're going to have to see pause 4, pause 5 here from Cignal Ultra coming through, but you don't have the best hold for an Ember, regardless. Like, maybe you can punish him with Sleight of Fist, time your LSA on his last position. It's not very easy to do that. Lena matchup against Ember is decent. You can burn through the Flame Guard, at the least, so you can take control in the lane, harass out the Ember. And Cignal Ultra do get the Slardar, so the question now is this a support Lena? What are you doing? You've got Axe Slardar. Who's taking that support here?
You're
Slardar?
asking the wrong question, sir. Who's playing the off lane, John? Where's this Axe going? There must be a
Safe
Slardar
lane?
off lane. It could be a mid or safe lane Axe we're looking at. It could also be like a mid lane or safe lane Slardar. I don't know. I don't even want to guess. I just want to wait and see what Cignal does. I love the idea of the safe lane Axe, or the mid Axe, I've got to say, and I know I've brought this up quite a few times this week throughout the many days that we have done the SEA DPC. We might finally get to see it.
Yeah, would be really good, I think, as a core. Then you can definitely just go for that Manta build. You can bypass the Vanguard, go for Blink if you want to, but just build up your farm, hit your level spikes, wait out the 20-minute mark for your Ag Shard. Could be potent. So I think Cignal Ultra can play around that. The issue is, GXR might be able to punish. I think it's still a bit risky when you kind of telegraph the Axe. You're not playing with Flex as much. I mean, again, as you mentioned, Slardar could be the pause 1, but that really doesn't feel great. Galaxy Racer do go into the Oracle, so looks like perhaps our KYXY Tusk comes back in. Oracle and Snap for the sports here. Paulson likely taking the Oracle. And 343 sticking to the Snap. You could still flex that around if you want to shift a farm priority onto the Snap. But an Oracle with farm is still great. Like, you get Aether Lens, you get a fast Glimmer Cape, very defensive. You have to be very careful with when you use your False Promise, though. The Axe is going to be able to rip through if you are under the kill threshold. So you will have to just time yourself a little bit better there on the Oracle. Be less conservative with it. Toss it out when you know you have to. But it is a really good way of getting a natural disarm off. And we're going to have to see how they build on top of it. They don't have the natural Oracle combos. Terrorblade's banned out. Troll's banned out as well. And the Ursa. So you're going to have to find a different pause one to play with that potential with a False Promise here.
All right. The Oracle's interesting as well, by the way, John, because you still can get culling bladed by the Axe through the False Promise if you are low enough in HP. And that could be quite detrimental to the Oracle and the rest of GXR, but the idea generally is False Promise earlier than when you get to that HP threshold, and that way the Axe can't do much. GXR now, their last pick, they are lacking a position 1. Might be a little bit challenging to choose a position 1 against Cignal Ultra's draft, because you don't really know where they're laning and what they're doing with these heroes. I'd say your safest option is probably going to be a range hero if you want it, and they do go for the Morphling, which, you know, it's range and it sort of isn't, but when you're up against the Slardar, you're up against the Dazzle, the Lena, there's plenty of spells to steal right now for the Morph. And quite frankly, there's not really much in the way of dealing with this Morphling, at least for now.
Yeah, it gets a bit scary. It's a range core, right? So the Axe is still not going to get the safest calls against Morph. You can be far back enough that it should be a bit safer. You
Yep.
also have to consider the choices for turning into. I think Dazzle is going to be really nice. Like, you turn into him, you get out Poison Touch, you run people down. Turning into the Axe is also pretty big, and Cignal Ultra do go into Shadow Shaman.
Wow.
So it's an interesting way to close out. We do have our Tricore. It is Obbing Axe, so it's a safe lane Axe coming through. We'll have to see what they can get done with that. But Cignal Ultra going left field, trying to prioritize getting the Axe farm up. I have to worry about this just a bit. You talk about the potency of Axe with Manta and Shard. Morphling can kind of do the same thing. He could look for the Axe, take the Axe form, turn into Axe, Manta off, and then he's got spinning illusions now as well. Right?
See, now you're thinking, John. Now this is the analyst I needed. This is the next level 5-head thinking we needed for the viewers, John. You are correct.
Oh.
Get the Manta on your Morphling, go into the Axe, get the Manta illusions, spin to win, maybe go back into the Morphling later, but now you've got essentially 2 bodyguards with you. They just keep spinning. They spin a lot, John, especially once the Shards is up on the Axe. Nevertheless, I'm going to have to ask you the very, very, very hard question, sir, which people love to hear you answer. Who came out with the better draft?
If I ignore the teams,
Sure.
ooh, I still lean towards Galaxy Racer. I think the Axe safe lane is very interesting. It's also very telegraphed. I think it gave enough for GXR to go around the limitations of playing against it. Morphling is just a fantastic way of going against that. Again, just because what the Axe can do, Morphling can do as well. It's the same issue with Gyrocopter, except for Axe, it's going to be melee illusions running up instead of a flat cannon flying through, but still very potent. A Morphling with Call, turning back to Morphling, getting bonus armor plus 40 for what? 4 seconds, 3.5 around that time. It's just really, really hard to deal with. So Mizu's got massive spikes he can play with if he wants to. Cignal Ultra will have to play this kind of tempo-paced game. Blink for Van's going to be important. The Lina needs to win out mid, so you're going to have to push it onto Alacrity, try to burn through his Flame Guard, and prevent him from farming up. If you allow even a slightly better start here for GXR, I think you're going to see the same issues as we saw in Game 1.
I do agree with you, John, and personally, I do agree that the draft does just look better on GXR, but I'm very intrigued to see what Cignal Ultra will do with this draft and with these heroes. Let's see if they can make it work. For now, a Bing isn't that POS 1 Axe, so that makes me very happy. I can say that straight off the bat. But is it going to work? Is it going to be enough against the Morph Ember? It's a different question entirely. Part of me wants it to work, though. Part of me wants to see this POS 1 Axe succeed.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting, considering that Grims is on that Dazzle. So Dazzle Axe lane sounds pretty scary. You know, you come in, Poison Touch, Battle Hunger on top. Again, no natural dispels here from GXR. So you can play aggressive on your safe lane in that case, and that's one of the strengths of that Axe. It's still really hard to bully out early on if you don't have the right lineup. It's just going to be down to positioning here from Cignal Ultra, as for now, not revealing the lanes, but it should still end up with Obbing running down bot. It's already a forward ward here from GXR to watch that. So they're going to be aware of the pull timings and probably just prevent their lane from being completely overrun on the Dar side.
Another 2-for-2 trade. Very even kind of start for GXR and Cignal Ultra. Neither team wants to fight.
Of greatness awaits.
I do like that as well. What you just kind of pointed out, the Axe Dazzle lane does sound very, very strong. In fact, they might even bring Eris up. No, Eris is going to run down to the bot side. But yeah, I mean, Poison Touch and the Battle Hunger, it's a lot of damage. Very hard to deal with. We'll see how GXR want to try and deal with it. I suppose as a Morphling, you can always kind of just keep yourself strength morphed, but that does make it very difficult to try and secure CS up against a hero like Axe Dazzle.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit tough here for Mizu. You can all see Obbing going for that Battle Hunger, so Mizu's going to have to work for his last hits. Grims is in position to just keep harassing, pocketing his level 1, so no Poison Touch yet, and going to have to work hard there. 343 is going to be around to trade hits with him. Does opt for the Scatter Blast first, so we're not seeing the little Shredder coming out from 343, and we didn't see him go for the Blightstone start last time anyway, so it looks like they just want to get some nuke damage on hand maybe try to snipe out the range creep if it's under danger. And so far, they are keeping that Morphling in check, but Aubing has yet to find the last hit as well, so both sides just kind of playing back and forth on the aggression instead.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at the other lanes as well. Mid lane, Alacrity going to be up against Jamesy on the lane on. I suppose it should be one of those even trading lanes where Jamesy should have somewhat of an advantage on that laner. So what I'm concerned about is how the laner goes during the mid game. It really doesn't feel quite as impactful as it used to. As the Ember, I'd say it's the strongest it's been in a while now, and well, we know Alacrity does play a pretty nice Ember.
Yeah, that he does. And he's already ahead here in last hits just by a tiny amount. The water runes and bounty runes and then the power runes are going to be very important for both sides. So first, the bottle is going to dictate how far you can push yourself. And you already have that bottle flying out for Alacrity ahead of Jamesy. So he's going to be able to top up and going to be able to make use of those water runes a lot more than Lina can. That is just not the best bit of news there for Jamesy. Alacrity is just going to be able to keep spamming his own spells out. So have to watch the spikes. Level 6 feels really potent for Alacrity, but you can't discount Laguna coming out from a Lina as well. So you're going to have to see who does get that little advantage. Take a look at bot. You have KYX and Van. They're making a move.
He's in with the tag team. Van has to be very careful about that, and he does go down.
Thanks and have
You
fun.
can't underestimate the Oracle Tusk. Even with that level 1 Purifying Flames, it still does enough damage. He just got a little bit overly confident there on the Slardar, but okay, well, XY just turns on the tag team and turns back around. Nothing wrong with a bit of a man fight.
And you don't want to be seeing that from your Slardar. You're in the safe lane here, but obviously the farm priority should still flow towards Aubing. You still don't want to give too much of a good start to KYXY. They even managed to get the pull off. So now Van's going to have to go really far forward and do copy shards.
Uh-oh, here we go again. Eris needs to be very cautious here. KYXY now, no, he's the one who needs to be careful. He'll try to go for a run, but Van has another bash of the deeps into another stun. Do they have the damage output to completely finish off this task? They may just, as Eris is going to come back in and make sure they get it, but now Paulison will at least trade. Still Van will continue, but now Paulison, can you get another? He has Purifying Flames with the fog. He's going to be able to get in the way. Certainly a more worthwhile trade for the side of Cignal Ultra at that bot lane this time around. KYXY, he's going to come right back in now on the Tusk. Full reset at least, so you do have your full mana and full HP now on your Tusker.
Yeah, and you're starting to see a bit of a spike here for Cignal. Look up top. Mizu is just being bullied on the lane with a level 3 spike from Aubing and Grims. They're able to just really apply that pressure, and there's a lot of DOTs here. Just shifting around strength and agi just never feels great for Mizu. You always have to be cautious. 343 has 2 salves in his backpack. He's ready for that lane.
Well, Eris, he tried to rotate to get the water, and he does get it. The problem is it does cost him his life, and Alacrity, he still has 1 bottle charge, so he's not really struggling for bottle charges right now anyway. Fact is, he's quite healthy. I mean, James is going to try and harass him out now. But I'd say Alacrity would have been pretty happy with just getting the Shaman kill.
Yeah. It's a pretty nice pickup for Alacrity. It just helps you build up. You want that. You need every single thing you can get to hit that level 6 spike a bit faster than Lina. And Jamesy's already pulling slightly ahead there in terms of last hit. So the EXP is flowing much faster. That means the Laguna's going to be up a lot earlier. And if you're caught off guard for Alacrity, well, Laguna flies in, you're going to be ripped to shreds, so you have to watch that timing. Again, a bit of an early aggressive start for GXR. Their top lane's the only one being really annoyed here. Like, Mizu's just not getting the farm he wants, but everyone else is getting their good spike, so they'll have to make use of that and buy space for Mizu later.
Grims. He got caught out in the end. 3-4-3, he gets him. Because it does kind of go back to what you were just saying. It doesn't really matter too much, because Mizu's not the one getting the kills, nor is he farming very well right now in the Morph. At least they are able to continuously sustain themselves in the lane, and Cignal, I suppose they got what they wanted out of this dual lane of Axe Dazzle. Not quite many kills though. In terms of kills, they've got a nothing. So you slow down Mizu a bit. I do fear Mizu will be able to just eventually catch up anyway.
Yeah, he's got a lot that he can play with. I mean, the aggression will come out from the Axe, sure. But if you do go for that Manta build-up, you kind of play a bit passively as well. You can see down mid, James, he did manage to land the LSA, but doesn't really manage to fully commit the Laguna, so Alacrity's going to be fine. We have to look for those mid rotations coming out soon, especially as they approach their level 7 to 8 spikes. That's when we start to see side lane rotations, looking for the big core kills. And 3-4-3.
Nice TP out. He had a skill point. He doesn't go for the call, maybe just assuming he wouldn't make it in time. I believe he had just barely enough time, but bot lane, Paulison, he's going to survive. KYXY going to move in and another nice shards. Van is trapped in again. It feels like deja vu from game 1 already. Is Alacrity now just going to chase down the Slaughter in the river with a haste rune. And Van is slowly but surely is just going to die. It's just not the greatest of news. And it goes back to last game, John. You've got to be careful with these shards. Like, these staircases, they're just enough in length to kind of be blocked by the shards if you do get caught in that area.
Yeah, I mean, the whole map is just, it feels so much more narrow on the lanes even. So you just have to really watch that spacing out, and you just build on top of it. Mizudo?
Gotta be careful. A Bing still has a skill point for call if he wants to commit it. For now, he will hold on to it. Mizu's still trying to man up. There's your strength morph out. He does go for the call, but the rotations are in GXR. They kill off a Bing, and now they found Grims.
This is game noir.
That's a very nice rotation there from Alacrity.
Double kill.
Meanwhile, bottom lane looks like they are going to go into KYXY, but he's going to try and run out of this. Van, oh, the shards. He missed it. And that trick can kind of work against you sometimes, and I suppose in the middle of the panic there for KYXY, he kind of misclicked his own hero with the shards and didn't get the right area that you need to click in to get the shards block off. Nevertheless, I think as Galaxy Racer is still going to be happy just based off what happened at top lane.
Yeah, you're slowing down Yax. Should get some good bait.
Mid lane.
Now mid.
Nice dodge on the LSA. Fortune Zen not going to connect on Jamesy. Alacrity was out of mana. Now Hex out from Eris, but he's going to be caught in KYXY. The control out again. Sure, you don't find the leaner, but you get a consolation prize, and everything's still going quite swimmingly here for GXR. It's a 2-8 now.
Yeah, and they're kind of lagging behind net for it, but it doesn't feel like that's a massive issue. Most of the farm's going on to Jamesy, who still hasn't died, but also hasn't found a kill.
They found Van now, John. Shards out again. Purifying Flames in from Paulison, and it's just such a strong kind of dual lane here from GXR. Meanwhile, mid lane, 3-4-3. He's going to be chased down and should die. Jamesy will just commit the Laguna for that. Nice and easy. I suppose, you know, it's a POS 4 or a POS 5 for the sake of a POS 3 Slaughter. It's still not going to feel great for Cignal Ultra.
No, definitely not the kind of trades you want to be getting here for Cignal Ultra. At the least, Jamesy's allowed to farm up towards his travels. Cirillina's going to be speedier, especially as you build up the stacks in Fiery Soul. And you're going to be all over the map. You need to maximize that movement, counteract Alacrity's movement that he has with his Fire Remnants all over the place. But there is a smoke here from GXR. They're going to play with that spike on their Ember.
Why the hell not? Moving in, being already about half HP. Alacrity will just move in with the chains. Grims, he does not have Shallow Grave yet, so he cannot help out a Bing. That's already Alacrity's 5th kill of the game, John. That's impressive. Bot lane. They've got KYXY, but guess who's here? It's going to be the Ember himself. Eris going to drop Van. He's going to try and run, but the Fortune's End is going to fly in and lock him down. And the shards. Going to make it so he cannot run away, and KYXY, who initially was the one dying, does get a double kill.
Yeah, he's setting up for himself quite nicely. On the side of Cignal Ultra, again, they're not lagging too far behind in terms of net worth despite these kills. So there's some item progression, but I don't know about this itemization, Mike. Look at Abing. He's still going for, he went for Vanguard, he's going for Blink, he's going for Blade Mail, so none of the Manta Shards build up. It's not there.
The Manta Shards you can get after the Blink Blade Maul, I don't necessarily 100% disagree with this. I question whether the Blade Maul is going to do much this game, though. Like, if you catch the Morphling, sure. If he's Agimorphed, he is going to kill himself. But apart from that, I do question how much the Blade Mail will do. There's Jamesy now. Bottom lane, going to kill off Paulison, but it's going to cost his own life for this. Van's trying to come in and help out, but it's all too late. Eris, he gets a Hex off. They'll get KYXY for their trouble. But Alacrity, he should be just fine to Remnant out of here. Eris, he's still trying to wrap around. He has another Hex out. Shackle's up in 2. He might be able to set up again, but it looks like Van's kind of given up on that kill anyway. You lost your mid laner for that. It doesn't feel amazing.
They did at least find the Tusk, so it's not as bad of a trade, but look at this. Alacrity with Clarity running is just going to look for mid, start to make rotations. They're getting TPs, and they've got kisses ready here as well from 3
Oh, look at the shards out! KYXY again finding it on point into the snowball and the walrus punch. James, he's gone. Van will rotate, but a great cookie out 3-4-3. He will die, but for the greater good as KYXY does get caught in the shackles, but there's your false promise. Paulson will play no games. But man, at KYXY, every chance this man throws out just seems to be perfect.
Oh yeah. He just knows where to run to, even secures the rune as well. It gets a Knight off, you're not going to give that away to Van. And the side of GXR still continue to build up. 6-14, less than 1k lead, still on Cignal Ultra, as they are being very efficient with Abing and with Jamesy in terms of just farming up and building up a network lead. They do bleed out their bot tier 1, but they're going for the trade up top. And with Jamesy around, with his right clicks and the max fiery soul, this shouldn't take too long. So decent amount of push coming through. They will have to watch mid, as GXR can just collapse and force the issue there.
They certainly can, John, and they do. Mid lane, meanwhile, the TP back in from the Slaughter. They want to try and go for this fight and just try and defend the T1, but now Eris, he's been caught out again. Another perfect chance. KYXY going to get cookied away. They'll try and chase him down, but it looks like he's going to be just fine for now, as Paulson will heal him up. Van is going to keep moving in for the Observer Ward, but now he's been caught out. Mortem's kisses have been committed. He is completely surrounded and gone. Remnant forward, Alacrity, he's found another target. Abing is going to get chains up. Shards are going to be up. He could run back to the triangle, but he will run towards the northwest instead. But that will not work out in his favor. Cookie, off the mark this time, but it doesn't matter, because KYXY will still be able to secure the kill.
Yeah, they managed to get a lot of kills off of that. They're still working on securing mid. They lost their top tier 2 though. So I guess you are on Cignal's end. You did find something for your troubles. You lose your mid, but the top lane's completely
Oh, look
empty.
at this. Look at Alacrity. He's so confident. Backing onto Eris Grims. He is trapped up between a rock and a hard place. Oh, it's turning into a stomp, John. It is not looking great, and with this draft from Cignal, they do not scale into the late game. They cannot outscale Morphember.
No, they definitely can't. They've got to play early, hit these spikes. They've got the blink and Abing. They're smoked up around that. Maybe they can make a big call work out here.
They need to help Van right now. There's your call out of Bing. That's a big one. Onto 3 heroes. Paulson, he is still going to be alive. The false promise there, KYXY. Buying enough time. They still get the dunk, however. Bing gets there. Alacrity going to take a regen room, but he is out of mana. Jamesy, he'll keep the chase up. Alacrity can't Remnant away. It's a bit of a bait Remnant there, but they know about it. Bing going to be able to get the dunk off. A massive call in from the Axe. 3-4-3. He's still around. Cookie, not going to be enough. They get the Hex off. That'll be a triple for a Bing. 3 dunks in a row. And well, you called it, John. He needed the big call, and he got it.
Yeah, they make use of that blink in a very proper way there for Cignal Ultra. What they need now is more items fly in. Like, you revealed your trump card. So GXR are aware that they have to contend with Axe Blink. They have to be more disciplined in their spacing. They have to split out a little bit more, prevent value from coming out for the Axe. They're still getting some good farm on Mizu, but he's still lagging behind the Axe just by virtue of how well Abing can clear out these stacks with his Vanguard up. The Blade Mill's going to be up soon. Then he is going to go into the Manta Shard. So it will take a little bit more time, but you are going to see that core Axe build with pure damage spins. And we'll just have to see if GXR understand what Mizu has to do against that. Like, he's going for the SNY right now. Could maybe disassemble into Manta if he wants illusions. Could certainly go for his own shard to try and play around with the shard upgrades as well. But for now, we're not seeing that Manta pick as well in the Morphling to kind of play that 5-head plays, you know? 5D chess coming through. Not quite yet. They're not lagging behind, though. I think the one thing is that Alacrity needs his BKB. Doesn't even have the Maelstrom yet, even after all those kills. He doesn't have much farm. Abing is 2k above that Ember, so it's a bit slower in terms of itemization here, which is not ideal. And it's just down to the fact that he's been more active on the map, and he hasn't had time to get some creeps down.
Abing gets the call off. They found the Morphling. Paulson right behind. Gets the false promise in time. Before the Laguna connected. Had that Laguna made it, Abing would have been able to dunk, and now KYXY right back in with the Walrus Punch. Jamesy, he'll be the target. Mizu, now full HP, wants to come back in and fight, and here comes Alacrity on the Ember. They'll get the Hex off of the Shackles, but it may not matter. Look at the damage output, Alacrity. He'll keep chasing down the Lina. Eris does drop. Alacrity, he's not done. Onto Jamesy. KYXY, meanwhile, does help kill off Fan. And Grims, all he can do is run. Shards, oh, it's perfect! Or is it? Yes, it is. Close call there. KYXY may have just assumed Alacrity already had the chains. How is this man doing it, John?
Every time, he's just got a sensor. He's got some radar of some sorts there on KYXY's head. And really quick fingers, quick response from Paulson for that false promise. Mizu turning around just got them a lot. Turns into the Lina. They had LSA fully with the call.
Nice setup. He's got the Morphling again. The Hex out. Van now gonna TP in. The Shackles even there, but there's your Fortune's End out. They haven't got false promise, but Mizu is gonna be a waveform and TP away right from home. Cignal. Maybe they could get Paulson. No. They don't see him in time. Very, very bad news indeed. Though the good news for Cignal, John, Abing is now farming the Manta. Problem is it feels like they may have lost the momentum they were looking for in that mid game.
It certainly feels that way. Like, Abing's now forced to kind of jump in for solo calls. The backup's a bit too slow there from Cignal Ultra. They need a blink up now on Van to ensure the Axe has appropriate follow-up, get that damage off, and they've lost the lead. It was only a marginal lead in first place, but now it is on GXRs and very slight, more than 1k, less than 1k lead. And once Mizu farms into his Scotty, he's going to have more stats. So the blink call, it just doesn't feel like it's going to be enough damage unless you call 2 to 3 heroes. A single hero is just not going to die to that control, and we've seen Mizu. He's been very quick on fingers with his own attribute shift towards strength, so just don't really burn through the Morphling quite yet here.
I mean, you say quite yet, John. I'm not sure when that time comes where you can burn through the Morphling.
The tide has turned.
Mizu kind of just tells you all about it. Abing, he's around. He has that Blink Blade Mail available. Meanwhile, to the south, it looks like they have dived Grims and they've already got the Dazzle. Pings out towards Abing and Jamesy. They're going to try and TP away, and looks like they are going to be just fine. They aren't finding an opening. It's just not there.
No. The GXR does find the opening for the Roshan themselves, though. And this is not going to last too long. They've got the Solar Crest, or at least the Medallion up. They've got the minus armor from a little Shredder. A lot of right-click damage coming through from Mizu. First Aegis of the game going their way, although Van seems to be aware, but he doesn't have a blink here.
He doesn't, but he has a River Jump. And that might just be enough as he moves in. KYXY and Mizu gonna get stunned up. There's a big, but what a great cookie. 3-4-3, saving the day again for Mizu. He might die himself, but it'd be well worth it as they commit the Laguna as well to get the Snapfire, but now a Bing dropping so darn low. Shallow Grave there, but is it gonna be enough? He is still stuck. The Aegis on the deck. Who does it go to? Where is it, Grims? Grims on the Dazzle. He denies the Aegis off. There you go.
All right. They got the Aegis, the Roche kill as well, so they got the gold to deny the Aegis. But that doesn't feel worthwhile. Like, they might have gotten gold, but you lose your Axe, you lose your Slaughter, who needs his Blink. It's just not the biggest trade. Now, you don't have to worry about the second life on Mizu, sure. He still kind of has a pocket second life as long as his Oracle's quick enough, and we see Paulson again. He's just always on point. With the Aether Lens now, he can be even safer in the back line. He's saving for his own Blink. So you're getting all these huge spikes on the Oracle to still play around a little bit more aggressively. You do manage to eventually pick the Blink up on Van. So you have the follow-up for the X. If he had the Blink in that last fight, that could have ended a lot better for Cignal Ultra.
This is the dream as well, John. Like, the Aether Lens on Oracle is when you feel like you can actually do something for your team. just sit back and not get caught out and always have that false promise. Now, mind you, the level 15 talent used to be a cast range talent, which was, when you had Aetherlens, it was quite broken together, but never mind that, because Alacrity, he gets called up. Meanwhile, 343 also in danger. There's your Hex up, Apolison, no false promise. It was on cooldown, they get the big one, and they even find a consolation prize. And that's what you need to see from Cignal Ultra. Mind you, John, that was a 5-man smoke for that.
It's still worthwhile. You find the Ember. It's just a nice kill. I think you really want to kill off Mizu, though. Like, the net worth of Alacrity is still behind the Axe. So in terms of gold bouncing back your way, it's not much if you're looking to try to swing a net worth lead. And in that downtime, Mizu's just playing really well in the jungle. One part away from the Scotty here on the Morphling. And that will be troublesome. You're not going to get the maximum impact from the heals on the Dazzle. The natural regen of the Axe is going to feel a bit worse. They do manage to find the mid-tier one. So there is a little bit more map control for Cignal Ultra, especially when you look up top. Like, the early tier 2 take has opened up the jungle a bit. They're just not able to play in that area. And GXRs are still allowed to kind of freely farm up there. I'm just keen to see what Mizu goes for after this Scotty. Like, just curious if he will kind of swing towards more damage, maybe just try to tank up. I feel like tanking up is kind of the way to mitigate a lot of your output. Like, it doesn't feel like they have instantaneous burst. They need to prolong these fights to kill off something like the Morphling, and he just lives for way too long as, again, some of his supports are there to help him out. So we'll see what the answers are for Morphling down the line. But the BKB is also starting to come in for Alacrity. He's just one part off, lacking the recipe. And once the Ember has that, you're not threatened by the Crush, you're still threatened by Call, but that's one less spell you have to be worried about, which is always good for an Ember.
Well, they wanted Alacrity in that mid lane, but he knew they may have been around and does kind of bait them in to show themselves. Cignal, they could still try for a smoke. It looks like they don't have one available right now, but Grims has just bought one out from the shop. So I suppose they could go very soon. No real big power spike here for the side of Cignal. Maybe just the leaner BKB. Are they really going to commit? Like, it does feel like it may be worth just waiting for the Manta up on a Bing first. Then again, you did just pick up the blink on Eris now, so perhaps it is time to go.
Yeah, just being a bit patient though, so not quite committing just yet. I think for the side of Cignal, you're inching towards that point where the Manta Shards will be up. Like, Aubing is, again, very close to it, so that's when we start to figure out, is this really worthwhile against these bigger cores? Have to see if Aubing can pull it off. The Roche, well, it's still about 4 minutes away until we see the respawn, but the BKB is up now for Alacrity. So I think if you wanted to make a play, this is the safest time. They do finally smoke up here in GXR's end.
They do on GXR. Cignal Ultra need to be pretty careful here as they're moving into Van. There's your Snowball and the Shards out, and that is going to be a very dead fish unless the Shallow Grave, it makes it in time. Maybe they have time to turn this one around as a Bing. He gets the call off, but there's your false promise. Mizu just can't die in that, and now Alacrity will move right on forward onto the Axe. A Bing, he's going to try and run. It's not looking great for him though. They will Shallow Grave up, and there might be just enough time, but now Eris, he's going to be the one to drop. They are right into the Radiant base. There goes the Bing on the Axe. And GXR now, they might have to go back and get a tier 2 tower, but it does seem like they are slowly going to be ready to start going high ground. And funnily enough, Jamesy, he never TP'd down to help out. He stayed bot. He got the tier 2 tower, which I can kind of agree with where he's going with that. I just wonder what else you can do here if you're Cignal.
Well, you got to hold high ground somehow. They have decent enough AoE, especially with the Axe when he's back up. The Crush is still a big threat. So GXR might just be forced to respond to bot lane push. Maybe clear out the triangle, get some wards in, and wait out for the next Roshan. And that should be their next spike, which that's going to give some time here for Cignal to save up for the Manta Shard. And again, we'll have to see if Aubing can make that impact. But Mizu, he is going for the BKB, so it's next into the defensive item for the Morphling, which again just means that he only has to worry about just really the Bash of the Deep and the Call. So you don't need to worry about the Shadow Shaman, you don't need to worry about the Lina. It's going to help the Morphling just sustain himself in the front line. And Cignal, they do smoke now. They are blind though.
That they are. Cignal Ultra. They're going to run through the dire jungle, but it seems like their movements have been read already. GXR being very cautious with their own positioning. Alacrity going to show himself for a second, but there was no vision even scouting that out. So he just gets a free invis rune, and yeah, Cignal, they don't find the opening. I guess there really wasn't one.
It's a really awkward time to smoke up. Like, again, they don't have deep wards, they didn't have information, the waves were all kind of shoved in, so they couldn't really find an angle, and that kind of signals for GXR, right? They respawn, they're not clearing out waves, they're going for a play, and it's just not a clean route to go for those openings. It's a bit tough right now for Cignal. Look at Van, he's level 13, they went twice 60.
Oh, being way off the mark with that call. It's completely out of range. It kind of goes to show you how desperate they feel right now to get something done as Alacrity. He might be able to turn with his team. They are slowly but surely grouping up. Nice double chains out. Eros almost dies to that. Now the Remnant forward, but the Shallow Grave should save the day. Bing not opting to call again. So I guess for him, Alacrity is just not enough.
I mean, it is tricky to commit onto just one. I think you really look for angles to catch 2 or more. You worry about the Oracle being behind to save. You worry about everyone else following up because you only catch 1. The counter initiation from GXR is really strong. So it just makes Cignal have to play more cautious. They know they're not quite in the lead. They're not really lagging behind, but the power spikes they needed to find are sort of stalled out. The axe, again, it feels like this timing into Manta Shards is a bit slow compared to just rushing it. And we have to really see if the investment is worthwhile, because everyone else is being sacked for it. Van, still level 14, only has Blink and Hood of Defiance, needs that BKB on the Slardar. Your Lina is now trying to go for the Daedalus, so she's trying to go for that right-click Lina build with a BKB up as well. You're gonna need a little bit more on top of just the Crystal. Is probably gonna need the full Daedalus there.
Uh-oh, Van trapped up. At least they had the Hex out onto KYXY, so he couldn't follow up with the damage. They're really just trying to keep him trapped in that base. Cignal, all they can do is kind of farm the opposite jungle right now, as the Bing is just trying to farm up his own shards. Still about at 1.2k gold off that, and even with the shards up, it's probably still not going to be enough. Not with this kind of, this deficit his team's in. Get a courier for himself, but it does reveal his position. Of course, as soon as they know where he is, they're going to just chase him down. A Bing, he'll blink TP, Alacrity. Woo! He tried with the Sleight of Fist chains, but I think he went south rather than west. Barely misses out on it.
No, it's a bit of a missed opportunity, but you're kind of fine with that. It's not really getting as much done. You are seeing the creep wave cut now, though, with those mantle illusions up, so it is rather annoying. Now I think you just want to hope for a nice illusionist cape down the line to really tie that in for you. There's a big spike here for GXR. They've got the Gobble Up to play with, so they've got Snowball and Gobble Up saves, although
Smoke up, KYXY gonna spawn out Van, blinks away, Alacrity, he'll be the one to move in, and there's your shards. It'll block in the Slardar and block everyone else out. They can't get into help. A Bing, he jumped in. I'm not sure about this, a Bing. He is losing so much HP. They get the Shallow Grave off in time, but now Alacrity's right in on the supports. He'll get Eris down. Jamesy, he's trying to fight. Mizu with the false promise is gonna be just fine. He'll jump back into Jamesy. But Mizu is going to survive through the false promise, and now KYXY back in onto Van, gets another kill. Grims, he's going to pretend he's Roshan and hope they don't notice the difference. He will watch Jamesy die, and now they should spot him out eventually in that fog spot. He'll try for the TP play, but the cookie is going to be there. It's a nice try, but unfortunately Grims doesn't look very much like Roshan at all, John.
no, he kind of tries to cosplay, not quite up to the level of even our budget cosplayers that you can see on Facebook. Love that guy. Really talented guy, but you know, like the budget Pudge, the budget Tide kind of stuff.
That was was that the Vietnamese guy you're talking about?
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Is he Vietnamese or Thai? I think it's somewhere there in the peninsula. But yeah, not quite it for Dazzle. And the only silver lining for Cignal is that Abing lives. It's that situation. There's just so many saves on Galaxy Racer. You call one, all right. Adam comes in, 343 comes in with a gobble up, and then you save 343 with a snowball. So they had the nesting there, you know, the what do you call those dolls? The Russian dolls? Matryoshka dolls?
No, you're
They
completely.
just go inside and
it's
inside.
a babushka. I believe it's babushka, isn't it? A babushka doll. I don't know,
Is it?
John. I'm not Russian, John. I'm not sure.
Three-
Anyway, moving on. You know what really happened that team fight, John?
Yeah?
You see KYXY, he blocks in the slider at this staircase here again with the shards. Nobody else could help. It was a Bing and Van in the team fight. The rest of the team had to run around the cliff, make their way over, and even then they still had the low ground disadvantage. And it made it too easy for Alacrity to just jump the backlines and control the supports. Hell, even the Lena couldn't make it up.
It was just so awkward. Like, on top of that, GXR smoked by the cliff and KYXY smoke immediately popped. So they were completely ready for it, like, just from that moment. And Cignal, again, they were going in without information. It was a massive risk. They got punished for it. And now there's a significant lead on GXR. I mean, 5K at 30 minutes isn't that big, but it's the first time we've seen the gap go beyond 2K. So it's a notable lead now for GXR. They've got all the farm in the world for Mizu. He's just going for Satanic next. And he doesn't even need the 4D, 5D chess. The 5-head place. It's not even there. He's not going Manta. He's not going Shards to turn into Axe. He's just being a better core than EAC because he's hitting these timings.
He is. Wait out this pause and see how long it's going to take for our Dazzle to reconnect. Any big items coming out? I mean, you've got the Daedalus being worked on now by our Lena, but then I kind of question how long she's going to be able to just stand there and right-click. There's just so much mobility on the side of GXR, and it makes it very hard to just stand there and hit people.
Yeah, just super difficult for them to control off. I think there's a lot of pressure on Eris, really, to maximize his Blink and Aether Lance. Get a good Hex Shackles off, but that's only one hero you're holding. You need to get that big LSA, you need to get the big Crush and the Call, of course. And if one of those spells lands without follow-up, it's just not enough. Like, you need all of that AoE control to stack on, and GXR, after that initial Blink reveal from Abing, have been so disciplined to just declump every single time. They're just not close enough to really get that massive call. Now, Abing's going to have a good spike at level 25, where he's going to have an additional AoE in the Berserker's Call, but that is so far off. That's like 7 levels away. What's that? 10 minutes more? Maybe 10 to 12 minutes more for that EXP gain? It's not going to be there in time.
That's assuming he can hit creeps, John. I mean, it's been a bit of a struggle to find an area to actually get some creeps under the belt of the Axe. Yeah, like you said, like the level 18. In fact, what's the level differences between these heroes right now? I mean, you can kind of see it. Like this POS 1 Axe, it is falling quite far behind. Hell, even KYXY on the POS 3 Tusk is the same level. Even Polison on the Oracle's level 17.
Look at Van. That's the biggest issue. Look at their Slardar. Behind all the supports on GXR, barely keeping up with his support Shadow Shaman. It's been a slower game for him, but without the level advantages a Slardar would like to play with as well, without his talent spikes coming true, it's just falling a bit flat from Cignal Ultra.
That it is, John. Luckily, Grims is going to reconnect, and we can see what Cignal are going to do about this predicament they're in. Unfortunately for Cignal, they are yet to find a single game win in this lower division of the SEA DPC thus far, and it looks like it may remain the case during this game number 2 as they go into the Roshan now. Shards, Cheese, Aegis all sound very nice. Who do you want to give it to is the question.
Alright, they give it to Alacrity. So the Fire Remnants with AoE damage and getting a Remnant when someone dies within range of you. So it's pretty darn nice for Ember. Just plays into that aggression, especially once you get the Ags up on Alacrity. It's just nearly, infinite Fire Remnants coming out with a nice little burn on top. So gotta be extra careful now on Cignal Ultra's end. They are smoked up, but this is a smoke into post-Aegis fight. It doesn't sound very safe here.
you've got to be very careful as well when you initiate, because 3-4-3, he has the Ags up, so you have the counter initiation with the Gobble Up if you aren't too careful for Cignal Ultra. Cignal, they're just going to hang around in that dire jungle and, again, try to get that XP and farm up, at least for a Bing. We'll get a courier. That'll be Mizu's Satanic being delayed now. GXR, though, with that courier going down, again, know exactly where they are on Cignal Ultra, but they seem to want to go after Van. Poor Slaughter just trying to swim away, and they just won't leave him alone. So they are going to miss out, perhaps. He's not been scouted. He's going to be all right. Oh, Gobble Up. Close, but not quite.
Yeah, they're still going to be able to get a push off here in the bot tier 3. Cignal have to be in position to defend. This is their best shot. Their high ground's really nice, but look at GXR. They're just putting Mizu up front. They're not clumping up at all.
Why the hell not? He's a tanky boy. He's got the Aegis up, and he would have had Satanic. A Bing, though, does jump in. He should be able to get the Aegis, but KYXY buys enough time for the Strength Morph to start. Mizu is just going to survive. Going into the backside, he'll get Eris, and there goes Van. This is some really top-tier Tusk gameplay from KYXY this series, as they even found another. Jamesy trapped up in the shards. He's going to try and just man-fight this one out. Laguna is there, but the Fate's Edict going to save the day. KYXY, he took no damage from the Laguna Blade. Onto the bot racks again. There's no creeps available, but they're coming. They'll be here soon. That'll mean Van does have to buy back.
Oh, upping.
Yeah, he missed, John. He missed. Alacrity is in onto the Lena now. They know they have nothing to worry about. That'll be Jamesy. The Shallow Grave will buy some time. He will try to run, but Alacrity is all over him. They'll get Jamesy again, and that might just be it. They are onto a Bing now. He's going to try and make his way back to the fountain, but KYXY won't even let him have that. He just won't let him have it. He'll block him out. There you go. There's the GG call.
Oh boy. It's not the cleanest coming out for the side of Cignal Ultra. I mean, they try something different, which I appreciate. They open up with Dazzle Axe. It's just so weird to prioritize Dazzle Axe first and go into long lane, still build up Vanguard, Blink, Blade Mail, not rushing your Manta with a shard at the 20-minute mark where it feels super busted. So they miss out on the early spikes there. And GXR, they just play fantastically. You point out KYXY definitely up there as MVP. Like the shards from game 1, the shards in game 2, the snowball saves from the calls. They just had all the counters here from GXR. They had snowball, they had gobble up once 343 had a farm, and he did. So they had a ton of way to save, just Mizu staying in front. They just declump, and the Korax just couldn't find its spikes early enough there.
No, I do agree. I mean, I think KYXY is just playing fantastic during this series on that Tusk, and we didn't really get to see any other heroes that he was playing this series, but it doesn't matter because the Tusk made up for all of that. Of course, we are going to have to wait out and see who we are going to have for a winner's interview after this. We have somebody.
Should be Mizu. I believe that should be Mizu, so Mr. Miracle himself.
Excellent. We'll bring him in. One moment, sir. There you go. Hello, am I speaking to Mizu?
Yes, that's me.
Hello, Mizu, aka Mr. Miracle. How you doing, sir?
Great, because we just won, so that feels good.
Very good to hear, very good to hear. Well, you guys were quite confident going into this matchup, I assume, like up against Cignal Ultra. They haven't had any wins yet. I assume you guys were quite confident in being able to pull off this victory today.
Yep, it's also because we really needed this win to hopefully secure either to Division 2 or just to stay in the lower division, actually. Yep, so we have to be confident in all our games.
Yeah, which leads me to my next question. Right now, you guys, you're sitting at 3-2 in terms of group score, so you're kind of just above the middle right now, which is a pretty nice place to be. There is a couple more series left for the team. I believe you have 2 series in the last week. You have 496, you have MG Trust. It seems like to be in the running to make it through to the upper division, you're probably going to have to be able to win out those 2 series.
Yep, that's correct.
Do you feel... What do you think your chances are up against MG Trust? I mean, 496, I'd say you guys should be the favorites. MG Trust, though, how are you feeling about that matchup?
I think it's a very exciting matchup for us because we just played them recently in the Oceanic League or something.
Yeah.
Yep, I believe. Yeah, that was a really good game. Like their they have their own distinct play style. So I'm like really looking forward to playing against them, especially in like this really where it really matters.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I've got something outside of Dota here for you, Miracle. You're in Singapore, right? Like, you've got all the great food available there. Do you have any particular food that you love to eat in Singapore? Any favorite dish native to Singapore? Are you a chicken rice guy? Do you like your nasi lemak? You know, nasi padang? What's your favorite dish? I'm
My
curious.
favorite dish is the stingray, sambal stingray.
Stingray.
Yeah.
Sambal stinger. Wow, that's the first time I've heard someone just outright say it. So you'd recommend that? I haven't tried it at all, actually, staying there. Like 8 years. Never tried it.
I highly recommend it. It's if you like spice and if you like fish, it kind of tastes like fish or something better than fish. But yeah, it's like really smooth and easy to eat. It's really
Alright.
nice.
I'll try to find some here. Doubt I can. Speaking of spice, I've got to ask your opinion. You know, Mike's been raving about this for a while. You just played against it. Now, the axe came out. Abing played it. He did play in the offlane, but he was sort of itemizing towards that Manta shards as the game closed out. How do you feel about it personally? I want some insights from some of the top players. Do you like the axe Manta shard buildup? Have you played against it before, at least even just in the pubs?
I've played it a lot actually in my pubs recently when when the Reddit thread came out. Yeah, but it was like pretty cool. It does a lot of damage, but it doesn't like scale out as good against like heroes that buy SMY now, like which is quite common in a lot of cores. So like you kind of lose out later on in the later stages of the game. You have to play really quick, otherwise it's not as effective, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you for your insights, Mr. Miracle. I think that's all I have.
I have one final question for you, sir. I want to take it back to the earlier stage of the lower division. You guys, obviously, there was a bit of a struggle there. You ended up getting 2-0'd by SMG, and I believe there was another series that you didn't quite be able to pull off. It was up against SB Esports. What would you say was the big factor? Like, what did you guys really improve in to kind of go undefeated from that point on?
I think it's partly because during the time that we played in the first few DPC games, we were not actually like gelling out very well. Like we just got together and we didn't really have much time to scrim and we didn't really find out this style of play. So eventually leading up to like those two losses, and then we played a lot of other tournaments as well.
Yep.
I think it's like the PNX tournament and the Oceanic League, and yeah, we kind of just found our groove from like playing all those games, like how we want to play, how we want to do things. So yeah, that's basically how it leads up to this.
Fair enough. Very good to hear. Miracle, one last thing. Did you have anything to say to any of your fans out there? Because you do have quite a few fans that do tend to pop up, especially in Twitch, and I'm sure Facebook and YouTube. Do you have anything to say to them before we let you go?
Thank you for supporting me. Please do continue to support us and JXR and me. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you very much, Miracle. I wish you the best of luck in your final two series, and hopefully at the end of next week we'll be able to say you guys are going up to the upper division.
Thank you.
Thank you very
See
much.
you around.
See you, Miracle.
See you.
That was the lovely Miracle. Very good to speak to the man. We haven't had the pleasure of speaking to him before, and you know, I was actually about to apologize because I did have that one incident back in the day where I accidentally pronounced Miracle as Miracle in the middle of a team fight.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he doesn't care. He seems like a pretty chill guy, and you know, I'm sure he's just completely forgotten about that. Regardless of that, though, John, great to see. Obviously, he's in high spirits. Obviously, he's talked about the improvement of the team, and it does sound like they're confident in their ability to be able to try and win out these last two series and move their way up. In fact, I'm always quite excited when a player tells me that they're excited to go up against arguably the favorites of the whole lower division right now in MG Trust. That does give me confidence that they're going to do pretty well in that final series.
Yeah, it's good to see them building up that momentum after that slower start, gelling together now, and we'll see what they can bring out. Like, as you mentioned, against 496, they should be the favorites. MG Trust is going to be that big hurdle, but we have seen them drop a game already in the DPC, so they're not impenetrable. They can drop games here and there, and we'll see if GXR finds the magic, counteract that tie stack, but that is in week 6. Of course, we're going to be off for the next week. We will have Aries and Dana back. So
Yep.
that's going to be it for you and me here, Mike.
That is, John, but that is not it for SEA Dota tonight. I believe we do have Upper Division coming up very, very soon. In fact, I'm just going to have to double check the timing on when that is beginning. But it is in 51
Should be
minutes from
3
now.
o'clock. Yeah, 3 o'clock Singapore time.
So what we'll do, Jonathan, is I will keep the stream up like we did yesterday, or the day before yesterday. And once the main channel does go live, the main PGL channel, I will host them so you guys can just AFK if you like. Just leave the stream up if you want. Otherwise, if you want to go straight there right now, it is PGL_Dota2, and that is the Twitch channel and YouTube channel that you can go to watch the Upper Division games tonight. But like I said, if you feel like being lazy like I always am, you could just sit here, have a chat with us, and I'll eventually host once they do go live, as they do tend to go live roughly 15 minutes before the first game is set to begin. Apart from that, John, any final words? Obviously, we're off for a week. Do you want to get anything off your chest before we turn off our cameras and our microphones and go sit around and do nothing for the next week?
Not too much. Hopefully everyone's had fun. Of course, if you want to show your support, you can just give us a follow on social media. That's going to help. Follow the channel as well. If you have some feedback, you can feel free to DM us. Our DMs are open, so you can slide right in there. But thank you for everyone for being supportive. Thank you for the lovely copy passes as well. There were a couple of big ones this week. Very spicy stuff. For that behind the scenes stuff in the hot tubs, you have to go into our OnlyFans.
That first copy pasta did make me laugh. I don't know if I can repeat it on the stream, but there was a copy pasta a couple days ago that did crack me up. Maybe we'll post it on Twitter. Nevertheless, like John said, thank you very much, everyone, for the kind words. I suppose because we have time, for anyone that did sub to the channel or currently has a sub, we are in the process of adding emotes and trying to get some rewards for the channel points you guys have been accumulating. So apologies about the delays with that. But apart from that, thank you for watching. And like I said, we'll be hosting Upper Division in about 40-50 minutes from now. So we'll see you there. Have a good day.
Start it up. This is lit. Let's go.